Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy. Up first here we've got satellite imagery today, state of Alaska, of course, right through here, and clouds streaming northwestward across the southeast coast there with areas of rain across the entire region there from Dixon Entrance on up to the north, breaking out here to just some bands of clouds, and still southeasterly flow, but breaks too with some sunshine in across south central Alaska again. Get into a little more cloudiness down there around Kodiak Island, into northeast Bristol Bay, and then down the peninsula, and a weak disturbance here over the southwest interior. That kicking off, producing some clouds and some areas of light snow through here, and then a band of mostly clouds with even lighter precipitation, flurries or really nothing at all extending onto the northeast up there. Cold air up over the north slope to the Arctic coast, and the next front pushing in across the Aleutians today. The main low center tracking just south of Chimay-Attu, coming up to just near Kiska Island. Picture time at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then the front pushing over, passing Adak and very close to Atka, with some gusty winds, minimum gale force winds in advance of this, maybe gusts to possibly as high as 45, 50 miles an hour, and then lighter winds and more showery on back to the west. Band of cirrus here coming across Nikulski, but basically dry and light wind conditions across eastern and northern Bering Sea on down across the Alaska Peninsula. And looking at the chart here for this afternoon, this is drawn for 3 or 4 p.m. this afternoon. Very weak low here south of Kodiak Island, and that producing the cloudy skies and scattered isolated precipitation in that area, and some of the cloudiness extending up into Cook Inlet and locally the Kenai Peninsula. But most of the showery conditions along the Alaska Range here back to the west, and maybe some showers also, pretty light though, scattered around Prince William Sound. Radar showing small echoes moving northwestward here, so really not much you could plot on the chart here, but maybe a few more clouds than what's showing here in the satellite imagery. But nice conditions up across Copper River Basin, and this area of cloudiness here with most of the precipitation, light snow, snow showers, flurries back here toward the southwest, the Yukon Delta, trailing back to near Nunivak Island, on out into the northern Bering Sea, and that's about all that's going on out there. High pressure over the Russian Far East, another stronger high up northwest of Banks Island. So we've got decent gradient holding here again today along the eastern Arctic coast, with those winds 20 gusting, possibly as high as 40 miles an hour on the east side, and less of a breeze on out to the western coast there, with basically clear skies in areas there with some patchy areas of lower clouds. Upper level disturbance right through here is going to be backing to the west and southwest over the next 12 to 24 hours, but really not looking for a whole lot of precipitation with that feature either. And some fair amounts of sunshine here over the Tanana Valley, and it looked like afternoon cumulus building over the mountainous terrain. And then the band of moisture here down the southeast coast associated with this very weak 998 millibar low, but the flow really pulling that stuff up from the southeast here, but the main trough swinging into Canada. Looking at the forecast for tonight, that front will continue to weaken as it pushes slowly eastward. By about 4 a.m., roughly around Nikulski, should still be west of Unalaska, but looks like there's small craft advisory winds with us by this time as it continues to weaken, with the low center down to the south here, just north of the Aleutian chain. Not much of a gradient here along the Aleutians. The strongest winds are down to the south, the good gales down there, and areas of gale force winds here to the north, staying west-southwest of the Pribilofs. And again, just small craft advisories across the eastern Aleutians with periods of rain and fog. Nice for the Alaska Peninsula. And mostly cloudy skies, scattered snow showers or flurries, patchy fog from the southwest coast here, say Tooksuk, Nunivak Island, back up into the Bering Strait. And mostly cloudy here with some scattered showers of the form of snow associated with any elevation at all from northeast Bristol Bay all the way back up to the southern slopes of the Western Brooks Range. And then just variable clouds here, central interior with some clearing all the way eastward there toward the border. Light winds, Copper River Basin, light winds, variably cloudy skies to the 40-mile country into the central Tanana Valley. Northward all the way to the Arctic coast. Winds up here slowly diminishing, gradually coming down, but holding on to brisk wind advisories, it looks like, for at least the next couple of days. And may see a little bit of an increase in the winds on the west side there, but not too much from what they are right now. Kick it up to maybe over 20 knots in some areas. And dry conditions down to the North Gulf Coast. Still some lingering rain and snow showers possible here. Southwest Prince William Sound, really mostly off the coast, and then that extends over to the northern southeast coast. Precipitation diminishing this evening and becoming more showery and really tapering off toward mornings, lingering showers down to the south. Next front down there to the south of the Queen Charlotte's, pushing northward. Well, tomorrow slide right on up and bring another round of rain. Again, rain from south to north. So by the afternoon, increasing chances of rain over the northern panhandle. Definitely into the rain here over the central and southern areas by tomorrow afternoon, with increasing southeast winds along the coast, lighter winds up to the north. No gradient here through the interior, with just some moisture coming westward to the Kenai Peninsula. Isolated rain and snow showers early to mid-afternoon hours, afternoon convection a little bit along the Alaska Range. Definitely no thunderstorms in sight from any of that, but here where it's colder, that'll be in the form of snow west of the Alaska Range. Not too bad though, Bristol Bay and the Kuskokwim Delta, even the Yukon Delta, partly to mostly cloudy or mostly cloudy. Scattered snow showers here, even the Kuskokwim Valley. That'll be northward, light snow showers possible. Back out to the northwest, trough right through here, and just about no gradient here across the Yukon Delta out to St. Lawrence Island. So consequently, light winds are in the forecast there, and continuing to drop those winds off along the Arctic coast. Probably enough gradient there for the marine area to keep brisk wind advisories going, but from the coastline on in, looking winds should be coming down pretty good and maybe even becoming light here over the north slope. That pattern extends down through the eastern interior tomorrow. Maybe some light flurries here from, well, around the Eagle area, and the main rain area, of course, will be over the southeast coast with that front, or back out here to the west, and the colder air changing that over to snow west of Adak. Monday's outlook, that system slides southeastward on a pretty good jog here to south of Kodiak Island, and return flow coming around now, probably pull some moisture from the main frontal boundary here northwestward to the southern coast of the Alaska Peninsula. Maybe some light rain, possibly showers, but pretty light there, and actually could start out in a mixed condition, especially depending on your elevation. Otherwise, again, eastern Bering, northern Bering looking pretty good with light winds, St. Lawrence Island, all the way down to the Fox Islands and the southwest coast as well. But stronger front driving east-northeastward here into the western Aleutians late Sunday night. And then by Monday afternoon, should back edge of that front probably will be past Amchitka Island, but look for some good gales, probably 50 mile an hour, 55 mile per hour wind gusts there for Adak as that front approaches with gale force winds, and definitely gales, high-end gales in advance of that front, especially back out to the west. Otherwise, high pressure, weak high pressure here over the interior. It extends into the Yukon, so nothing going on, just some variable clouds, no precipitation. That probably will translate into some pretty good sunshine for the afternoon Monday or throughout most of the day here through a good portion of the interior, maybe even on down into the Susitna Valley northern Cook Inlet area, but we will have this trough up along the North Gulf Coast with moisture tending to spread westward there. So rain and snow showers along the coast, locally into Prince William Sound, kind of cutting off on the coast range there. But again, surges of clouds will probably come across into northern Cook Inlet throughout the day, but still can see some sunshine. Scattered snow showers in this area down here over the southwest coast there from about Augustine Island, Iliamna, back over to the Kilbrook Mountains. And another very weak trough here right along the southeast coast. So partly sunny over toward the border and up to the north to mostly cloudy, risk of a shower or two there along the coast, mainly from about Sitka and Mount Edgecombe all the way down along the Prince of Wales Island coast, where not much effect will be seen over the inland areas. And the Arctic coast, still holding on to those breezes on the east side, maybe 25 knots or 15 to 30 miles an hour, possibly lighter back to the west, but could be some flurries. Lower flying conditions may come down, actually just touch the coastal areas there from Okaktovik over to possibly as far west as Wainwright. Temperatures this afternoon up along the Arctic coast, single numbers to teens again today, and that same pattern along the north slope as well to Anaktuvik at 18. 20 degrees even at Arctic Village, upper 20s over the upper Yukon Valley, and then kind of a range here through the east central interior from mid 20s to upper 30s here over toward Delta, and mid 40s for the Copper River Basin, upper 40s here for the Susitna Valley, 40s all the way down across the Kenai Peninsula once again today. And back here over the northwest, upper 20s to mid 30s there with Kivalina at 35, mid 30s for Nome. And the Kuskokwim Valley in the 40s this afternoon, upper 30s back to the west there, and mid 30s out along the coast with 21 at Gamble. Upper 20s for the Pribilofs, upper 30s there for Kodiak. Out west, the Aleutians right around 40 degrees again today, much kind of like yesterday. Upper 20s for the Pribilofs, near freezing on Alaska, 30s for the Alaska Peninsula. And for the lows tonight, below zero right along the Arctic coast to the Brooks Range. South of the mountains, though, warming up considerably, near 20, and then 20s to upper 20s on down to the southwest. Lower 30s, south central Alaska to the coast. Upper 30s near 40 for the Panhandle. And looking at highs for tomorrow, back above zero, of course, here, but that'll be from the Brooks Range northward, anywhere from, well, looks like 10 to 20 degrees mostly. South of the mountains, 30s warm into the mid to upper 40s to maybe near 50 there for the Tanana Valley. Temperatures rising, trying to push toward 50 degrees in the Susitna Valley tomorrow as well, and even a better chance of that over the southern southeast coast. But looks like highs near 40 for Kodiak, back along the Alaska Peninsula, lower 40s out in the Aleutians. Flying weather tomorrow morning, quite an area IFR here from Bristol Bay northward, covers a big chunk of the interior, all the way up across the Seward Peninsula into the Chukchi Sea, and it looks like some IFR in the forecast there for the central north slope, and also right through here from roughly the White Mountains up toward Eagle, VFR down to the south. Tomorrow afternoon, that vanishes. See VFR breaking out here to the west, but marginal for Bristol Bay. Marginal VFR up along the Alaska Range and then eastward through the Tanana Valley, VFR for the Copper River Basin. And it looks like just about all of the southeast coast will be in the VFR, and then big massive area IFR here, southern Bering Sea, spreading into the Alaska Peninsula. Passes Anaktuvik and Aglagan both open tomorrow, and the western Alaska Range, Lake Clark, Merrill, and Rainy, marginal VFR, either approach. Windy, though, stays VFR, as does Isabel, but Mentast look for IFR to gradually become marginal. And for Tanita, VFR, clear skies, Portage, moisture rolling in. Look for a surge of moisture to drop it down to IFR, especially on the eastern approach sometime tomorrow afternoon. Chilkoot and White starting out marginal, becoming VFR. Freezing levels at the surface here, Kodiak Island, south of the Alaska Peninsula, northern Panhandle, otherwise 2,000 feet, Dixon Entrance, and 2,000 feet south of the eastern Aleutians. For icing, one band of moisture here from the Pribilofs down across the Alaska Peninsula, areas of light possible, and the same thing here for the central Aleutians, and then also here above about 6,000 feet from Mount Edgecombe down to the Queen Charlotte Islands. And for the jet stream for tomorrow, the main Pacific jet well to the south there, we've got a trough here extending from the the Bering Strait southeastward Southeast flow at about 40 there continues, ridging over western Canada. So really the main flow shows up more at 9,000 feet here. Got 35 to 45 knot winds with this feature here on the south coast. Light winds over the eastern interior, 25 to 30 Arctic coast. And a band here of about 25 to 30 over the west central interior, diminishing to the coastline, and then coming up a little bit here, not too bad, 25 knots to the Alaska Peninsula, 30 knots to the western Aleutians. 3,000 feet, same pattern, but different wind speeds, 30 knots from the Alaska Peninsula up toward the Pribilofs, 15 to 20 for the Aleutians all the way to Shimia, and generally light wind southeast over the eastern interior, and maybe stronger, definitely stronger there off the southeast coast up to 35. Turbulence-wise, with those winds, light to isolated moderate chop here, Dixon entrance, right up towards Sitka, smooth through the remainder of the Panhandle, smooth through the interior, isolated turbulence Kodiak Island, Kamishak Bay, southern Alaska Peninsula, and then here over the northwest to the western and central Arctic coast. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecast and the ice edge.
Another area where the Federal Aviation Administration is using technology in advancing aviation safety is in the use of remote weather cameras as a tool to aid pilots in making safe flight decisions. Hello, I'm Sheila Balistreri.
So in '99, we really started what we currently call the Alaska Weather Camera Program. We say Alaska because it's the only place in the FAA that has this. One, it's available through the internet so that the pilots, their family, their friends, they can all take a look at what the weather's like before you go there. In addition, we have all of that available within all of our flight service stations so that each flight service station technician can call up and look at weather real time. And with that, provide a better briefing, whether it's pre-flight or in-flight for the pilots. By far the most popular thing we've ever done.
The weather camera system has been a good one. I'm sure you can tell from the, if you had access to the number of hits that they get that, on each site, that they're well used, and they save a lot of gasoline, they save a lot of time for passengers out turning around in weather and coming back when a pilot can just look at the camera and make a decision based on that rather than going out and actually looking at the weather.
When we look at the cameras, and if it's a definite no-go situation, then we're not able, we don't send an airplane out to take a look at it and then have to just spend the gas and the time and energy to go out, take a look at it, and just turn around and come back.
By placing weather cameras throughout the state, we've certainly come a long way. Today, we have 55 cameras throughout the state, an investment of $7 million. 12 new sites are scheduled to be up and running by this October. This concept, I think, is stunning in its simplicity. The pilot goes online and can view 2 images for each location. The first shows what the site would look like in a perfectly clear day situation. The second shows current weather conditions. Pilots can now learn what the visibility is in the mountain pass they face and whether they want to fly through it before they take off. In many instances, they may decide not to fly, to hold on that flight for a while, depending upon what they see. And that's long before they set foot in the aircraft.
Alaska is a huge state, and the area covered so far by weather cams is comparatively small. In order for the project to be completed, 165 already identified sites need to be added. In what may be considered counterintuitive, many of these weather cameras are not placed at airports, but are positioned in or near mountain passes and other geographical areas, which are often used by pilots as navigational aids. Others are located at rural airports, where there are no weather observers or co-located with automated weather systems. Pilots report that the value in these weather cameras is the real-time information they receive about destination and route conditions. Flight service specialists also have access to the weather camera images and routinely brief pilots with the most up-to-date information before takeoff and during their flight.
We use the weather cams in two basic ways here at the flight service station. For self-briefing, to get ready to be able to brief the pilots, to look at the weather cam where we have an airport with a weather report. We can compare what we see on the screen with what the weather report says. Where we do not have weather reports available, then we can look at the camera and again get a picture of what the weather is like at those locations.
When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is pull up the weather cameras to all the destinations in the southeast and check that against the actual reports at that station, and it gives you a lot better picture of what the weather's doing than what we used to enjoy with just the observation. I'm sure all the pilots are doing the same thing. I know all of our pilots do. A well-placed camera looking in 3 different directions, there's nothing like that. Be able to see in real time what your weather actually looks like before you take off.
Cost benefit is quite a bit as far as saving us money. We don't launch a flight when we know that the weather's good bad, when we can see it on the cameras that the weather is bad at our destination.
When the weather cam system was first proposed, there were some people who doubted its utility, and as they've come online, we've seen how the pilots really like to be able to see those pictures. They value it, and as they become available to us as briefers, we value it too.
I do thank you also for the cameras. I personally have used the cameras. I think that probably the one that's most used is the one over going through the pass into Lake Clark, and from time to time I get calls that it may not be functioning properly, which I'm pleased to say that Mr. Poe responds to very quickly.
During a recent independent study of Alaska pilots who have used the system, 68% reported making decisions to cancel or delay flights based on weather camera information. Pilots also reported that these decisions help them avoid additional fuel costs from flights that must be diverted or repeated due to bad weather. Now, these safety and economic advantages generated more than 2.3 million hits this past year on the FAA's Alaska WeatherCam website.
Welcome back. Well, ice continues to melt away in Bristol Bay on today's analysis there, and still got ice south of St. George, excuse me, 4 to 6/10 all the way down to St. George and beyond. And the heavier stuff kind of shifting around a little bit now, mostly east of the permafrost. So it looks like starting tomorrow, at least late tomorrow, we'll start seeing the ice edge retreat back to the north, and that should be a pattern that'll probably last for the next week or beyond. Moving on to coastal forecast, small craft advisories along the coast, especially the central and south coast, up to 30 knots, slider over the inside waters, varying directions, north 15 all the way up to Lynn Canal, east 20 on the north coast. Outlook for Monday, lighter winds through here, 10 to 15 out of the east, but small craft advisories, again, that next front coming northward. 25 knots, 10 to 12 foot seas, southeast 15, maybe some higher gusts, could see 20, 22 knots for Clarence Strait, light winds for the remainder of the inside waters. Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet, northeast 10 tomorrow, light easterlies 10 to 15 for the North Gulf Coast, southeast 15 to 20, Kodiak Island and the Barrens, east 20 for the Kamishak Bay area. Outlook for Monday, northeast 10 to 15 all the way down to Augustine Island, 20 knots, Shelikof Strait, Kodiak Island, up to the western North Gulf Coast. Small craft advisories on the east side there in the Middleton Island zone. Light winds, Cook Inlet and Prince William Sound. Bristol Bay east at 10, southeasterlies 20 to 25 across the Alaska Peninsula. And then the outlook for Monday, forgot to change the label, but this is Monday's forecast. Small craft advisories, Castle Cape to Sitkinak out of the east, east 20 for Bristol Bay, lighter winds for the peninsula. And for the Fox Islands, we've got southwest to south, kind of coming up like that, 20 to 25 knots, not too heavy. And then westerlies 25 south of the chain, lighter winds on the north side, some northwesterlies swinging in behind or west of Adak at about 25. And then that next front rolling in from the west, 40 to 45 knot winds. Good gales coming in with that. Increasing winds throughout the day, maybe to minimum gales for the central Aleutians. Much lighter, a real light wind day for the east side. And for the southwest coast, east to northeast 10 to 15. Small craft advisories for the Pribilofs, north up to 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island, maybe lower. And then for Monday, definitely lower, 5 to 10 knots here from Nunivak Island northward. 15 south of Nunivak Island, same thing for the Pribilof seas, 5 to 8 feet. Arctic coast, brisk wind advisories here for the east side, where that'll be where the highest winds are. 30 knots, drop back to 20 on the western coast, down to 15 for the Chukchi Sea. And Monday, anyway, I guess I clicked the clicker too fast. A trough here back in the west keeps it mostly cloudy tonight. Scattered areas of light snow, which are pretty isolated around Bristol Bay, but even not too much more scattered all the way up to the Chukchi Sea there. This front weakening, bringing some increase in the winds and rain eastward from Atka into the eastern Aleutians, with a lot of showers following in behind. And low pressure south of Kodiak, that's going to continue to circulate that cloudy condition with a chance of showers up to the island, and variably cloudy south central Alaska. Eastern interior up to the Arctic coast, winds still a little brisk up there. Scattered rain and snow showers over the northern panhandle, but look for precipitation to be diminishing tonight. That leads into tomorrow. The next system coming north, more rain spreading south to north during the day, with the gustier winds staying down to the south. Chance of moisture here for the North Gulf Coast, but basically dry for the interior. Upper trough out through here, especially up here, keeps it mostly cloudy, with snow showers will be most concentrated in this area and a lot more scattered on down to the south. Kodiak Island, weak low, still a chance of moisture. That front continues to weaken, both wind and precipitation wise, bringing just a chance of either there into the Alaska Peninsula. Showers to the west, and then the next storm on Monday pushing in 40 to 45 knot gales into the western Aleutians. Have a great
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.